Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the CKC channel. I'm your host, FIDE Master Kelvin Klaassen. And yes, welcome to another episode of Reflections. So, this evening we will be having a nice long chat. It's going to be an interesting one with someone I always enjoy conversating with. He's always very enthusiastic when it comes to chess, anything about chess. He is a chess administrator and a chess developer, and you can talk to him for hours on these topics. And I'm sure he's a lot more. And I'll leave the proper introduction to Dr. Boa. So yes, and I also think he just recently released a book, so we should also a chess book. So we'll hear about that as well, I'm sure. So I'll hand over to Dr. Boa to do the proper introduction. Over to you, Dr. Boa.
Thank you very much, Calvin, and good evening to you and the viewers tonight. Yes, I've got a very special guest in the studio tonight with us. That is Dr. Omar Esau. He's a good friend of chess and a good friend of mine, and someone that I've known probably since the late 80s. And Omar has been somebody that when I got into the chess scene, Dr. Omar Esau was already there. Omar has a fantastic chess history from club level to provincial level to national level, and of course to international level, where he's also represented the country on various FIDE commissions. So Dr. Esau, welcome to the Chess Reflections in the fourth season. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me, respected Honorable Dr. Bauer, and then of course our none other than our strong player and FIDE master, Calvin Klaassen. Thanks for having me on this exciting program where I think we can talk just about chess, nothing else. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Esau. One of the things, viewers, Calvin, Dr. Esau, perhaps would we just allow a few moments to reflect. This afternoon was the funeral of Mr. Eddie Price, and someone that Dr. Esau and I also knew very well. And we think of Eddie and his family tonight, and also honor his contribution to chess in South Africa. So thank you, everybody. And Dr. Esau, welcome again. Who taught you to play chess? Because I'm sure this must be a fantastic story out there back in the 70s. Who taught you to play, Dr. Esau?
Yes, if I look at the history of chess, in our house we used to play all the different games. Whether it's a drafts, is it they used to call it dam, lang dam, and anything we play because I come from a family of seven. Three brothers and four sisters. They competitive in playing any game. So some of them say they taught me to play chess when I win a tournament, and when I lose, they say no, they doubt whether they taught me. But I would like to believe at about 4 years old, Lyndon, I played chess already, and I can recall as one of the neighbors' board that they brought over, and they would play in the evening, and I thought, no, I also want to be big enough and sit up in the evening, and I played with him. When I beat the guy who was the actual owner of the board, so I thought, now I'm a champion. Then, of course, when I went to school, that is the Porsche Primary School, what was for me, in fact, I felt good when the teachers called me out to play chess against them. So I never, here in grade, they call it grade 3 now, standard 1. The teacher played with me the end of the year, and then, of course, I beat him. Then he went to go tell all the other teachers. And then, of course, they asked me to come to their classrooms. So for me, I was sitting in front of, whether it's a standard 4 class that time, which is grade 6, and I'm only a grade 3 standard 1 pupil. I do no schoolwork. I just play chess, and I beat the teacher, and he thinks I'm a master. but when you look at the time period, Dr. Bauer, the 70s. So that is the time when the 1972, when we're talking about Bobby Fischer and, of course, Spassky playing each other. I think that is the time where chess really had momentum in a lot of areas, more so here in Cape Town. And I think that is why the chess game became something, that was dynamic era for chess. Because you had the Cold War, it's like Russia playing against America, etc., etc. So I think that attracted a lot of people. So yes, the rest is history. I think 1976, I was standard 5. And then, of course, I attended Livingston in grade standard 6, of course, which is grade 8. I met Llewellyn Jechels. He was the senior champion and I was the junior champion. But
Right.
so that was standard 6. Right up till standard 8, I became Livingston's captain. I really thought I'm a chess champion. But when I started playing other players from other schools, and I met people like Roland Willenberg, he came at our school once, and I said, Lyndon, no, what are your nerds sitting here? But I sort of played rugby as well and cricket. But
Yeah.
I clap myself on the backside now for not taking chess more seriously at that time. You know, you see what makes a chess player a better player. It's not just to come and play tournaments. You need to study your game. You need to see what's your faults so that you don't repeat the same mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think for years, of course, that I did that. But anyway, that's history. But safe to say, chess a beautiful space in one's life. Maybe not the champion that I thought I would become, but 1976, I think I was standard 5. And then
Mm.
my sister got married. But instead of going to the wedding, a gentleman by the name of Lionel van der Hos, you know, they opened up a Manianani chess club, and Jamil Girdin, they came to fetch me. I wasn't by my elder sister's wedding. I went to play chess all day. And I think I played against a guy from Grassy Park. His name was Bernard Henry. And
Mm.
and I think we played at Mr. Van der Hos's house. In fact, we traveled to, there was normally you would go to another club's house. I recall people like Cecil Abrams, you know, in Elsie's River. So it was quite dynamic to go visit houses and play against adult players, which of course you're mixing with people, you know, whether it's a lecturer in the one side and whether it's a politically active person. But there
Mm.
you sort of learn to be acknowledged, you know, as an elder, or
Yeah.
you are you young, but you're mixing with people that are political strategists, and I think that meant a lot in a later life because you sort of
Sure.
became politically, you know, motivated, and you sort of in the right mix. So that is what
Now,
I've discovered, and that's what I'm saying to the youngsters, you know, try to go to your chess club. Don't just play in junior tournaments. Meet the elders, you know, play with them,
mm.
discuss the past. And I think in that way you become a gestalt or a holistic person. Instead of just coming, your mother dropping you there, you're going home, you're just coming for chess. That's not the excitement of chess. The excitement of chess is to socialize, meet new people,
Yeah.
love the game, the passion of the outside,
Diversify.
and I think that is the trick of chess.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm not a strong player, but I'm a socialite, you know, and I love the chess, and I love to know everything about chess, whether it's the politics, the minute politics, and at the end of the day, I think wherever we find ourselves, it's about trying to do the right thing, you know, and it's
Yes.
maybe difficult because it's subjective. But high school, yes, I played chess.
But hold on
And
quickly, Omar.
classic
So, Omar,
Mali.
wait, hold on quickly, Omar. So, Omar, it seems you were exposed at a very young age already at primary school as you went along. Now, can you recall any of your first tournament or two, how you fared there when you played in an actual tournament?
Yes, I think it's only in high school that we really had this league competitions, which I
Yeah,
want to take this opportunity to highlight and thank people like Mr. Ritchie of Errol Cressy. They arranged, you know, Thursday afternoons where we go as schools and we meet at Spitsbona in Athlone. Now, on a
right.
Thursday afternoon, if you are a youngster and you come to this school and they offer you coffee and donuts, you feel like, yes, just donuts, you know, and it's coffee. And if you play and if you win, you sort of become important. So it was a fantastic environment where we met a whole lot of teachers and we met a whole lot of learners. So in that was everybody coming together. And for me, what stands out is that time we didn't have the clocks. If you play a blitz, you know, and it's a 5 or 10 minute blitz, we would have a mic system, you know, and Mr. Van der Horst would say on the mic system, white moves. So then if you white, you must move. black moves, you know, and then white moves. And I'm thinking, if you don't make your move, you sort of lose your game. But I mean, there was no clocks, but there was excitement, and I think that for me was the highlight of our career playing in a league for a school, and
Mm.
then tournaments. I recall poor Fasih Mani, you know, he's being my neighbor. He was a
Yeah.
top player, you know, and he was somebody that you could admire. Everybody used to call him the chess fundi. And he
Mm.
was a sort of mentor for me, not only in chess, but also with my studies. You know, he was an action researcher. He did his master's in English, and I'm being about 10 years or so, 10 years or a few years younger than him. But he was always there to give us guidance. And then he's had a brother, Salim Mani, was active in the struggle, and Ashik Mani. So
Mm.
we were like family friends, but he was the chess fundi. He could play blindfold chess. He, in fact, won competitions already. I think you interviewed him already. So a lot of
Yeah.
people who know chess will know that he really stood a chance to be something like a grandmaster, you know. But it's just
Mm.
because of context of the country, and we don't need to go in that again. But yeah, it takes me to a Western province trials. And he says, "Oh,
Right.
Mario, making it, you're gonna make this team." And I'm full of confidence. Of course, I'll make it, you know. And then I came against a guy known as Losper. I think Shaban Losper. And I looked at this guy thinking, "Boy, I'll beat him any time of the day." And lo and behold, I lost, and I didn't really make the team, you know. So I thought, it's nothing, man. It's like water on a duck's back. But I mean, we walked back, you know. You see, he was my coach, and we walked from, say, Lansdowne across the field to Athlone, you know, which is quite a distance at that time.
Mm. Yeah.
And you walk back and you felt, no, man, I really didn't make this coach proud. But I mean, it's the main thing that I learned there was that you know, you need to practice, man. You cannot just come
Yeah.
and think you're going to be a champion. So players like you at the later stage, when I see you and I admire people like Calvin. In fact, when I look at Dr. Shabir Bawadin, he came to our school representing Harold Cressy, and he played against our board one, which was Llewellyn Jechels. So Jechels beat him
Yeah.
in a game. And he says, no, 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 let's play more games after the Jechels says, no, I really beat you officially now. Rather wait for another time. And I still recall Shabir wanting to play the man and was determined to be a champion. And I think you beat Jechels any time of the day now because of his determination. So what have I learned from a person like Shabir? You need to have determination, you know. But then again, when you
Mm.
look further, it's not just determination, Dr. Bauer, that's going to make you a top chess player. It's about studying the game. And then,
Yeah.
most important, I've learned all of us have different characteristics and styles, human being
Yeah.
styles. If you don't know who you are, you won't be able to play to your potential. It's like an opera singer, you know. If you sing, all of us can sing, but some of us, you know, we think we can sing and we can't. But if you can sing that tune, which is in tune with your voice, that is chess, you know, then you will be able to be a strong player playing according to your tune, you know. But somebody
Right.
singing at the level. And I mean, you know that better, but I think that is what I found out. So when I'm jumping now, but I want to mention it. When I went with you to the Olympiads, you know, and I watched the South African players. South Africa always in number 100 or 89, here in the middle. But if you look at the Armenian teams and you look at the other teams, you know, they play chess, and it's a daily thing for them. They know everything, and we, of course, we play nervously. We don't have that, you know, that strong chess background, and that you can see coming out at the Olympiad. And you tell yourself now, why can't we really become champions? And I think that is a question that I probably can't answer immediately, but it's a question for the whole chess fraternity to say, how do we create champions? You cannot create champions by not going to an Olympiad. You must be able to know what is happening there, the background, everything of the game. And I think that is a good challenge for the South African fraternity, because it's now he's taking a
Sure.
youngster and thinking he's going to be the champion. You can be taking a retired gentleman and he can be the latest GM. But we can talk more about that. But what I want to mention, when you go to an Olympiad, that is where you can feel the momentum of what chess is all about, Dr. Bawa. And you should know that,
Yeah.
But what I've learned there is
Now,
that,
Dr. Esau,
yeah,
I just want to ask a question because I want us to sort of go down a trajectory. When you completed your high school career,
yes.
where did you study initially?
Okay,
Just to tell us
this
a
is
bit
interesting.
about
I
your
went to
studies, because people have noted that I'm interviewing Dr. Esau, so I just want to do the academic one.
Yes, I went to Hewitt College, which is a
Sure.
training college for teachers. And they are actively played cricket, you see, and rugby for Hewitt. And chess was normally, if you in passing, you see, oh, there's a chess, let's play there. But there wasn't really the chess championship in the colleges, but athletics and cricket and rugby and softball to a certain extent. That was the highlights at the different colleges. So during the 3 years, I sort of played
Yeah.
cricket, etc., etc. Then when I came to school, Dr. Lyndon Power, and respected Calvin, when I came to school, I sort of I went into athletics, but I had this determination that the school must win at all costs, you see. And lo and
Yes.
behold, after being at school, and our school was supposed to come first after my third year of being involved with the school, and we didn't win. And I don't know what temperament we had at that time, but we stopped the whole school sport and we left. And then they said, Dr. Esau, you cannot play no physical sport anymore. You need to be in a secluded place. And then, of course, I then introduced chess at our school.
Sure.
And when I taught the kids chess, I went to the Western Province trials. I had a few kids, and they beat everybody at the trials. And
now, which school was it, Omar? Which school was it?
I started teaching at 19 years old at Mohammedia Primary School in Weinberg. In fact,
Sure.
it was initially a 2-bedroom house, but then they had 1,000 kids coming to that school as the community built that school over the years. So I landed up teaching there. And then, of course, I taught the youngsters to play chess. And during that same period, I started teaching in the 85. So we played chess, and I became the chess. I just want to bring this to your attention. I went to the Western Province trials, which was in Athlone. I'm not good. I think it was Norma Road Primary. Brought my kids there, and we beat everybody. But I also had to set up the tables, and I had to set up the boards and everything. And they told me someone else is in charge of the game, and so I said, how can the person be in charge? I don't see the person. I've been here all week for the trials, and who's the players that he sort of made or whoever. Then they said, no, these people are the manager, and I don't know if it was his girlfriend, she was the coach or whatever. And then I went to Western Province and said, but this type of nepotism and nonsense is not going to grow any code. And then they said, you know what, Dr. Esau? No, that time I was about, they said, you can take the charge of the Western Province chess.
Yes.
And the rest is history. We had 5 players initially in the team. And I said, if you want to develop a code of sport, only have 5 players. Let's make it 100 players in the team. So they gave us the opportunity to have 100 players in the team. But that, of course, was after unity. That's in the late 90s. Now, in the 90s, we then had unity. There was a guy, Mr. Haramso of Elsie's River. I met a young gentleman, what's his name? Sure. Anyway, I met Warren Rossiter. Warren was a table tennis player, and I told him, no, sir, man, you must come to chess because you are a dynamic organizer. And lo and behold, Warren is a principal today, showing that he had that skills. So yes, Warren became an organizer. And we also had Rian Hunter. He came from other schools. So we all combined, and we met people like the Alberts family, hardworking people, and we combined and we formed the unity. And that was the United, they called it USASA at that time. And we became a collective. And it is at that time that we felt that we can rather have more players, because if you want to develop a code, especially if it's not rugby or cricket, the best way to develop a code is to have more players. So
Yeah.
instead of just having 5 players in a team, we then asked the government, we are 100. They said 100. Yes, I said, no, only 100 boys, but we also have 100 girls. So it's 200 players. And chess had about 6, I don't know how much buses going everywhere, but that is the way of increasing the numbers. In fact, there was a gentleman, he became a strong player, and I think, yeah, he was number 101 and he became a stronger player. But the rest is history, and chess really took off. And with you also becoming, and I think at the same time, a president or a development person in the country and in Western Province, we could hold hands, and we could strengthen chess and take chess all over. But the school's chess was really a vehicle where we could grow numbers. And
Yeah.
during that period, coming from, just one sector, schools.
Yes.
I spend a lot of my time, and I want to mention it live here, Dr. Bauer. I spend a lot of my time wanting to, in the unity, wanting to make schools stronger instead of juniors, because I always had the idea, but schools, that is the bedrock for juniors. And then there was junior chess and schools chess. But that is a politic that we took, it took us years to say that, but the scholars are juniors and the juniors are scholars. But at this stage, I wouldn't want to bring that up. And I rather want to say that, yes, we had unity with all the schools in the country. And I believe schools was the vehicle to take chess forward in a development mode. Doesn't mean that top players will be at schools, but if you have a large base, you can, with that
Now,
pyramid.
Dr. Eso, yes. Now, how long were you involved with developing schools? Because I mean, you played quite an important and significant role, and you became chess as development officer. Because I see one of your legacies as being the developmental aspect of schools in particular. Would you agree with that sentiment?
I would like to believe that that was a major role, because I can give you an example. For me, an outstanding besides bringing carte blanche to Mohammedia small school, we did chess for change, etc., etc. I even did my thesis checkmating HIV/AIDS in chess, linking chess with, everything was chess. We saw it with the chess eye, and our school became the first. And this is important. We went to Free State to play in the all schools championship. And we were the first primary school champions in the New South Africa. I mean, Dr. Bauer, you coming from PE and having read your books on your reflections, and you talking about Mr. Uren, and you're talking about how important schools chess played in your role. And similarly, if you can ask people like Tom Marcus and Willenberg, their school also played,
Yep.
Their schools also were pivotal. So when our primary school became the first primary school champions in the history of the New South Africa, for me, it was mammoth. It can show you that, doesn't mean that other kids weren't better, but it means you can, in a small school where there's no soccer fields or rugby fields, chess can thrive in those small areas. And whether you're in jail, and you've shown that where you even uplifted the people in the jails, because you're in jail, not a lot of space, but you can play chess. So chess, can cross borders, and there's no boundaries in chess. But even the poorest of the poor schools can develop in this beautiful code called chess. That is what I say. Now, talking about development. So when I became the president of schools chess, I mean, and you being the president, giving me the opportunity, if you have a president that stifles and doesn't give his or her workers the opportunity to grow. Imagine you had to be the president, and where you say, Omar, no, man, you can't do any more development. I want you just to have 5 kids in the team. Well, I only want you to do this. I only want, but you allowed us to thrive, you see. And I think we had a collective executive, but geskrik het vir niks, man. Because I think we basically, you can look back, and when you look at that time, you can think, but we were quite a close group, because we could do things. So within that confines, with the depth we had in Western Province, and we could move, because whilst Western Province adult chess was looked after, we could then grow the school chess, or we could even grow Western. UWC became a strong component of
Yeah.
chess, because uh, that's the offspring of a strong base. So
Yeah.
coming to this, and I want to mention this, we were looking at in 1994, is it 1980, 1994, myself, Edwin November, Ashley Schuler, we all got on the bus. This was like a convict bus, but we got on this bus and we drove to Pretoria, Dr. London Bauer. When we came there, my oor het amper uitgeval toe ek sien butcher blazers, and I saw thousands of chess players at the Pretoria University, I think, or Takis University. And I don't know if our woman our woman master, your respective spouse, if she was also playing there at that time. But I know Daniel Cordry was still under 12 or under 14, and Grandmaster Solomon, he was under 16, with Irfan Hussein also under 16,
Yes.
potential champions. Nazmi Slamang was under 12 or something. He became one of the first players that they later took overseas when it came to the unification. So 92, yes, that was in that era. And we had unity, but it was beautiful to see people coming with their blazers and coming with their uniforms. And the competition was just high. And one thinks back and say, why do you want something like that to disappear? And say, no, that's white hegemony. We don't want to see that. We had to say that is what we wanted. That's the things we had to aspire to, because at the end of the day, it's not about white hegemony. It's about, that is where the code was actually on its height. But we had to look at ways how we can assist the poorest of the poor to come to those type of tournaments, and the disciplines that were there. So that was something that I wanted to mention. And we wanted to go back to our clubs and go back to our schools when we came back from that tournament. And we wanted to prove our kids, and because we now know when we go to that next tournament, Western Province will be the champions. And I think people like Solomon, the young Solomon Kenny, and his brother Maxwell, and the inspiration of the whole type of thing, that actually helped us a lot. So when we hosted a tournament once, Dr. Bauer, this was in Elsie's River. We believed that we must keep it in a township. I was standing on a bin with a mic system, and Mr. Rossiter's there, and we then said, all the players who win, in the sections, under 10, under 12, under 14, under 16, and in the girls, we will give them 10,000 rand or 16,000 rand to go on a plane to Greece. So for 3 years, Dr. Bauer, we then took players to Greece. Now in Greece, we met the whole FIDE army there, but more than that, we also played in international club championship there in Greece. We could improve our ratings. I wasn't that top player, but we even had Dr. Solomon's them going with us, Anzel them, so they could improve their ratings. We even did FIDE arbiter courses there with the top FIDE arbiters of FIDE. And myself and Rossiter became FIDE arbiters in doing the modules and the courses. We could mix and rub shoulders with the top FIDE. For 3 years, we did that. We even formed the International School Association with the Russians, and it was fantastic. But then the 4th year, people were saying, but why are your schools taking people overseas? And there was this enmity. And then they said, okay, we're not taking them overseas anymore. But I can tell you, that was the period that a lot of players' ratings shot up, and it was like a massive explosion and development in chess in our country. And we need to revisit that and think, What would have
Yeah.
happened if to keep the tap open and just let the players play all because it's only via international profession. I mean, Dr. Bauer, that we could have grown chess. And that was one thing where I feel, and as we used to mention, development is not just about kids in schools that must play well. It's about administrators that must get the international accolades. It's about
Yeah. That
arbiters that must
experience.
become international, and it's about coaches. So development is a holistic thing. And that is what we set up late in the evenings that we deliberated. And I know you sort of played a pivotal role in those debates. And we also mentioned that development or transformation is not just about the black kids wearing white t-shirts. That is the debates we had. And fantastic, man. A child in sport is a child out of court. Those
Now,
type of
now, Dr. Yeso, thanks for that. I mean, those are important questions, and the issues that you raise is should we not look back at what worked in the past in order to see what we could use for the future as well. Now we've got a question in the chat box, and I just want Calvin to read that question to you because it looks like a interesting question. If you can just perhaps listen to us for a moment, then I will hand over to Calvin for a second. Thanks, Dr. Yeso.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Boa. Thanks, Dr. Yeso. Let's see. We've thanks by the way to Buski M for the raid. Welcome everyone. And we've got a question here from Monster Frick. Monster Frick says, "Hi, Dr. Yeso. Good to see you. My quick question was reflecting back onto the last couple of years. What would you say was the key chess survival promotion of the game as a sport to welcome new chess enthusiasts? And just in general, the key to have kept the game of chess alive during this difficult time we have had." And then he just adds, "Am I on the right track to say that online chess was a key aspect to mention? Over the board was out of the question." So a bit of a long one, but thanks for the question, Monster Frick.
Yeah, no. Thanks for the question. The Queen's Gambit, that movie, the series, the Queen's Gambit. We cannot underestimate that on Netflix because that inspired also a lot of people to play chess. But more than that, online, it took chess by storm. In the sense whether we initially we thought, yeah, but online is not for the poorest of the poor, and online is not this, and online is not that. But with online, of course, some chess players also improved because they did introspection and they did reflection while sitting in front of their computers or their phones and playing the games. You'll see a lot of people's online ratings is massive compared to what the retarded normal ratings will be because they have moved. So when you're an organizer or contemporary chess president or contemporary chess coach, you need to know about the spins that happened on online because online really took chess from a local level to a global level, and you would see different chess players emerging post online. Calvin Klaasen could have been a champion maybe 2 years ago. If he didn't thrive or play online, he wouldn't be able to walk the path with your new players, whether it is, you can mention a few, Barish, etc. And then also, if Calvin didn't go and do this beautiful program during online, I don't think we would have had these global conversations in the comfort of our homes and taking all that the people have spoken to you and have debated over the weeks that you've done here. You've got enough information to tell Chess South Africa, look, this is it, man. This is the way forward because this is what this gentleman said that night. This is what this, so it's evidence of how to take us further. So yes, I'm going to be missing the boat if I say online didn't improve a lot of us in chess. And I would definitely say we need to take the positives from online and we can see how we can sort of grow our chess now in the true spirit where we can have a larger base. It's only through a larger base that we're going to get your stronger and your GMs ultimately because imagine playing Calvin rugby or cricket with only 5 million people during apartheid. Now you have 50 million people to choose from. Obviously, can South African rugby become weaker or stronger? You can only become stronger because you got a larger base. And similarly with chess. So I think the online was a boost, but we need to consolidate how we need to, whether it's a Lachotla or a Bosbarat or good thinking tanks coming together, and saying, look, let's focus what has happened to South African chess over the last 2 years or the last 10 years and see how we can take it further, you know, because I can be playing in Russia or I can be playing in Saudi Arabia chess tonight in their championships. And whether they're going to tell me you're not making the South African team to Lesotho, so what? I can play in a London championship being online. So it's important that our administrators need to be in sync with what is happening, on online variations. I don't know if I'm answering in a complicated question to simple.
That makes complete sense. Thanks, Omar. So thanks for the answer and thanks to Monster Fruit for the question. Sean Willenberg says, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Sean. And Dolph says hi as well. I see Monster Fruit just added here. He says, Dr. Eso, if online chess came to the rescue, should we not perhaps recognize it a bit more? Question mark. Online chess surely evolved quite a lot in a very short time. Do you agree?
Fantastic question, because this is where the arbiters, whether it's an arbiters group, they need to realize, that you cannot take a person's online rating and compare it with the over the board rating. There needs to be a hybrid, the combination of the two. And then also, how can I take somebody's blitz rating and say that's his rapid rating, and take the rapid rating and say that's his classical rating? So like in cricket, I mean, some teams have a clear T20 team and they have a clear 50 over team and a clear 4 or 5 day team. We need to get that in chess also right, man. The blitz or the bullet player can never be maybe your classical player. So we need to demarcate this clearly, especially when it comes to the ratings. And like Lyndon always would say, horses for courses, And we need to look at that because things is more refined. And with online, of course, we mustn't see it as a negative, but definitely it's a positive thing that happened. And yes, with COVID-19, I think there was other permutations, but also an opportunity for us to reflect deeply and to see if we can move forward in a very, very constructive and a more critical and a more creative way. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. Yeso. Thanks so much. And thanks for the questions, guys. Over to you, Dr. Bo.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Yeso. Very interesting debate, the online and, of course, the over the board. And some people would even argue that they have online fatigue, and wanting to come back to over the board. But nonetheless, I've got a few stock questions I ask every guest, Dr. Yeso. So my first one is, who are your favorite players? Your favorite players, past or present?
Shabir Bawadin is my favorite player. No, no, look what I'm saying. Favorite players, look, at the end of the day, everybody says you want to be a Fisher, because of his revolutionary mindset. And then everybody wants to be a subtlety of this person. But I would like to believe I love a whole lot of chess players, because a chess player is not a normal person. Their minds, it makes somersaults. Today they're in a good mood, tomorrow they're moody, and the next day, the person is in Hollywood. So I'm not talking about that top chess player that's an actor, and you're thinking of Jenkins, what's his name? Tariq. He's a chess player, but he's also an actor. So chess people are funny people. You can see them today with long beards, and tomorrow you can see them with no beard, And I'm not talking about Dr. Solomon either. But like I say, we have lots of funny characters in chess. In fact, I hope this guy is listening, this gentleman that we all looked for a couple of years ago. You remember the gentleman that was with Laura Irving, the local guy, is it Davidson, or, he popped up again, Dr. Linden, after thinking we made a janaza. You know what is janaza? We made a prayer in absence for the gentleman, thinking something sad happened with him. I got him at a couple of tournaments and the man was receiving prizes. I said, but there's many of you. He says, yes, no, he made a comeback. So, yeah, I mean, I just thought I'll run that. But I love
No, thanks.
chess players, but a chess player has different characters. I've seen top GMs, over the years, and I've seen retired GMs, and I can tell you that their minds are so active that even if they're not playing on the board, they can make those witty remarks and they can size up a situation so quickly. And I'm not going to mention detail, but I've seen
Mm,
some of them around and fantastic. So that's why I love a
sure.
lot of all the chess players. And I think what is important to remember, chess players reflect humanity. You have different people, they're from diverse backgrounds with different attitudes. And I think we need to you sort of encompass all of them, and that's it. You can't say I don't like this one
Mm,
because of this attitude and that attitude. We must learn to understand the attitude. It's like understanding the situation on the board, you see. So a chess person can
mm.
can never say I don't like this one and I don't like that one. A true chess player must be able to love and engross everybody, comrade
Sure.
Baba.
No, thanks, Dr. Yes. So here's a question also from the chat room. Boom Shaka, who's also a favorite of us here at the show. You've been playing chess for many years now. Can you tell us what part of it you enjoy the most? Playing, traveling, or the admin side, the development side? Which is your favorite of all of that? Playing, traveling, admin, development?
That's a good question, because what happened if you ask an ordinary teacher at the school, you like to be a principal? That principal will tell you, I just want to be a teacher teaching in my classroom. That's all I want to do. Or I just want to be a chess player playing in front of my board and knowing that everything is sound and safe and everything is all right at the
Yeah,
admin level. But now when you play, and you see this arbiter is not doing his job correctly, you see that the authoritarian figure of the leadership or the executive is not functioning properly. Similarly, at the school, you're teaching your class, but you find that there's fighting outside your class and the principal is not looking after the finances properly and this is not that. So you can't really teach properly because there's other problems outside. Now, similarly, we all want to play a good game of chess, but I mean, we can't play chess or thrive in the chess room if there's no administrators, if there's no arbiters, if there's no organizers, if there's not people organizing venues for us. So, yes, it's all those things to make a good chess competition and to take chess to a next level. So, yes, the best thing to do is just to be a chess player. That's the easiest thing to do. But to organize the chess, Dr. Bawa, that is the most difficult thing. I'll give you an example. I organized, and I think, I don't know who's all in the chat room, but I organized the chess championship 30th of June. That was the same time when my father passed on, and it was held in Oudtshoorn. We wanted to have it in that hotel, so that the people can go sleep in a hotel, move out like an Olympiad player and play there. So on my way to the respective tournament, myself and Warren Rossiter, we stopped by Caledon, of course, Caledon Spa on our way. And then I got the phone call, my father just passed on. So I had to drive back. We had to go back to Cape Town. And then, of course, I buried my father the next day. And I said, no, we must go to the chess. And off we went. We took the drive now to Oudtshoorn and we came there. The first thing I had to do, okay, the tournament is fine. I had to go to the hotel and they said there's an 80,000 rand still outstanding. We need to collect the monies by the different provinces. And the following day, the provinces was about to leave. So my job was to get that monies and to say, Howie, you've been sleeping well, you've rested well, and you've played well. Where's the money? And then we collected the monies. But if I didn't go that day, we would have got a bill of 80 or whatever, 100,000, and the money would have been nowhere to be found. I had to write letters maybe afterwards. So what
sure.
I'm saying to the respected players, how could we have got this money if we didn't have organizers to go out there and to do the necessary
Yeah.
administration? So what I'm saying, it's all well and good to play chess, but admin. And then of course I want to come to this, because I was also organizing tournaments. Then they don't see me there for the day. They say, where's Omar? He's walking around there with other people, or he's in the meantime, I'm liaising for the trophies, for what do they call it, the
The
medals and
sponsorship, the
the
medals,
sponsors and
yeah.
all that. And the guys just packing the tables there, the arbiter, maybe arbeiter bedoel. I always just say a German word that means workman. You mustn't just fold your arms there and say, you didn't raise your hands, I didn't see the mistake. You must work. But anyway, that's another story. So you go out there to get the sponsors, to get the finances, to make the things look smart. So it takes a lot of things to make a chess competition
Sure.
really smart.
So,
I don't need to go into the detail.
No, Dr. Yeso, thank you. I've got two more questions, both on the chat room, but can you tell us about your new book that you've just released? Because I know that you had the book, the first one was Checkmating HIV/AIDS, but tell us about this second one, which also sounds very exciting.
Yeah, this was the Checkmating HIV and AIDS, where we said, look, if you want to fight AIDS, you can utilize the chess game. When you touch a piece, you must move it. And all these things in life, social issues, so much so, you recall when we went to the Olympiad, they then asked me to serve on CAC deck, and I had to go speak about chess and social issues.
Yes.
So that was that issue. Then with you writing on the reflections and we also reflecting on our work all the time, I then I wrote this book,
So it's called Let's Play Chess.
Let's Play Chess. And then of course it's this book is intended, it's a simple book, for somebody to sort of, who didn't play chess before. You can sort of just go through the book. So what I say in my concluding remarks, this book was a simple attempt to introduce chess to our beginning friends who have never seen or heard about chess before. It gives a basic background to chess, the significance of playing chess, a short history, blah, blah, blah. Some notable work on the history of chess in South Africa was done by Leonard Rietstein, 2003, and recently by Dr. Lyndon Bauer, 2020, 2021. We also had some interesting projects recorded in South African history. In fact, David Berman just phoned me yesterday, Chess for Hope, Chess for Change, and Checkmating HIV and AIDS, and then also Checkmating. I mean, we had lots of those things going around.
Yeah.
And using her prowess to expose chess. So interesting recent chess movies have also captured the imagination of many, such as The Queen's Gambit, Pawn Sacrifice, Queen of Katwa, The Coldest Game, The Losing Defense, etc. Outstanding games recalled in the history of chess, the Bobby Fischer versus Spassky, of course, and Karpov versus Kasparov, in 85, then Deep Blue versus Kasparov. So I hope the reader found this book easy to read, but most of all encouraging enough to make that first chess move. Now what happened, Dr. Bauer, I went around the Western Cape for 2 weeks. I went to township schools, and I think with Dion Peak, with the different coaches, Kasim Salamang, and amongst others, we had Basil Ilman going to Klaver, going to the different schools in that area. We went to Swartberg. So we did about 2,000 educator assistants. And we gave them a certificate of attendance, yes. But I also gave them this book, because in the book, you can take it to school and teach other teachers. It's not your sophisticated higher order book, that some good player like you or Calvin will write. But it's also for so now people are asking me, can't you translate it in isiXhosa and in Afrikaans? Because what is happening, if you want to start or continue with the chess revolution, where's that minister? We were the chess revolution, he said he started the chess revolution. So if the chess revolution is continuing, we need to write stories, we need to write books, especially during the time of COVID when you can't interact socially. It was a unique opportunity to document. I wrote the history of Manyanani, and I would have edited with this book, and I realized, no, just keep this book to Let's Play Chess. So the next book will be about our club, but the history of a club, which you will bring your club, and if we put these clubs together, we will be showing the world that this is important. These clubs grew and these
Yeah.
clubs HQ. And so this is the other book that I'm finishing, the club history. In fact, it's finished already. So this book, I am proud of the book in the sense that it wasn't a lot of complications to write it. But
Mm.
you know what is important about this book is the pedagogy of chess. How to teach chess. You can probably be a better chess player than me, Dr. Bauer, but that doesn't mean with my teaching prowess that I can't have a creative way of teaching chess to
Of course.
121 people. So what happens? Here I realized I need to have a board, packed with pieces, and I need to have an empty board, so I
Mm.
could refer them to the empty board and then to the packed board. And then so now I must document this what I've done in practice and link it
Yeah.
with the theory so it becomes a type of a pedagogy for chess, in a
Right.
township area. Look, teaching in a township area or an online area, or it's different ways. So we need to have different teaching methods of chess
Mm.
in different areas. So that is what I also discovered. And I would like to see the day when we all talk about you have different coaches here in South Africa, but to hear what is their pedagogy of teaching chess? How do they really go about teaching at
Mm.
different levels? And we put that in books so that what you're saying, you don't repeat every time when I hear what you're saying, this. I want to see it in a book.
Mm.
I want to see so that when we
Sure.
go in the chess world, this is what we have. And I think that is still lacking. And I also firmly believe in South African chess. Yes, if we are the educationists, why must I do an arbiter's exam still with chalk and talk and a hide and seek type of thing? We need to have the things in such a way that it's a module, everybody can do it, and we write it. It must be transparent, it must be open.
Yeah.
And in that way, we will continue with what the minister said, revolutionizing the game of chess in South
No.
Africa. Yeah,
No. Thank you very
that's
much. Thank you very much, Dr. Yeso, and I wish you all the success with the book, getting your ISBN number, and also making sure that we
the
can
ISBN
publish.
number is here, comrade. It's here. It's
Super
published
stuff.
already.
So glad you've got everything covered.
And
So,
you
Dr.
wrote the
Yeso,
forward.
yes,
The
I
forward
got it.
was
So
written by Dr.
I've
Bauer.
got it
So
there, 100%. So
I'll
I've
see
got
you
two
on the
more
3rd of
questions.
March.
Yeah, 100%. I've got two more questions. Who is your favorite international player that you have met during your career?
Well, the person that I've met, I've met Karpov, and I've spoken to the gentleman. And for me, I could see deeper things, and I think it's an exciting to see. Here you have a player and you have a chat with a person over and he has time for you in the busy moments, and for me, that was a highlight. I've also spent a lot of time with the educationists, Blanco, and he
Mm.
explained how he went about writing the books of arbiters, of educating, and that's why they gave him a high profile in the education committee in FIDE.
In
So for
FIDE.
me, yeah, and then of course, we spoke with Kapamanos a couple of times. The man he had a vigor and a rigor to want to make chess grow in the world and in the most remote countries. And so much so that they even spoke of Swaziland and Lesotho becoming powerful. But what is important is that you could see the dynamism of these people and the love for chess. I went to the Netherlands and I played I went there as a local tournament. And while I was doing a media course, I saw this international tournament in Holland and I went there. And when I saw people from Afghanistan flying in for this tournament, and I played there, and I was thinking, why didn't I have the skills of Calvin Klaassen or Dr. Bauer so that I can actually play here and make a statement? And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I played against a 2,100 from India, and I beat the gentleman. And I'm just a mere nothing 100 here in Cape Town or whatever. And I'm telling myself, if we take this game seriously and we play internationally, our ratings And this is what you must now believe. Our ratings is about 200, 300 below par. You know, and if you look internationally, so yes, whilst we're being deprived of the big things in chess, I think we've got a good chess momentum and a good chess vibe here in the country. But we need to hold hands, you know, and we must also know that there's not a lot of us, man, that has the passion for this
Yeah.
game of chess. So if I lose you and you lose me and we're losing, you can't say it's a Joe and it's a Hendrik and you're going to lose. We can only be stronger if we are united force. We love each other, see each other's strengths, and try to work on each other's strengths. And in that way, hold hands and making this the best chess country in the world or in Africa. You know, that is important.
Dr. Eso, thank you very much. And on that note, Calvin, we're coming to the end of our show. But I think, Calvin, is a comment in a chess chat that you perhaps want to read to Dr. Eso.
Okay, thanks, guys. Interesting stuff. And yes, just a last comment here by Sean Wallenberg saying, no question from him, just a comment. Dr. Eso, I speak for the SA Chess fraternity. We really appreciate what you have done for chess here in SA. Thank you so much. Keep on going. So thanks for the comment, Sean. And
Fantastic, fantastic.
thanks, and just from my side, then thanks, Dr. Eso, for joining us this evening, for taking your time out to actually share some of your experiences. It was lovely listening, and I'm sure we can expect to maybe get you on the channel again at some point to even share more of your knowledge and experience. So thanks so much for entertaining us this evening.
Thanks so much for hosting me. I still have a whole lot of paperwork. Wanted to tell you a lot of things, but like you say, this is just a glimpse in our life. But I want to thank you for having me, and I want to wish you well, because your program is really, really, sort of enlightening a lot of people. And online, you can take it to the remotest area of the world, and they be listening to us today. So yes, thank you so much, and thank you to Dr. Bowa. You can't have the better man next to you, you know, when the two of you work together, you know, you're doing a great job. And then to Sean, of course, we've got good memories as we both more or less the same age. He just looks younger than me, but we are of the same caliber. So to all of those chess lovers, don't give up the game, don't give up hope. I think as a collective, we can take this beautiful game forward here in South Africa and beyond. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eso. And from my side, thank you very much for agreeing to be part of the show. And we look forward. And who knows, when we get to season 5, we haven't finished all the things, the wisdoms that can come from you on that side. So we'll be sure to call on your number again. So thank you very much from my side. Calvin, to next week, to Calvin and the viewers, Omar, while you're still with us, we're taking a break next week because we want Calvin to focus on the event in Lesotho. So Calvin will be focusing there, and we wish him well in these zonal championships, both to him and his wife, Robin, who will be participating there, and we wish him strength as they travel and as they participate and represent South Africa as well. So we'll take a break next week on the 8th, and then on the 15th, when we come back, we will have Yvette Arvier will be our guest, and she was one of the first female players that I traveled with back in 1993, nearly 30 years ago, Calvin. And we traveled and played in the African Junior Championships together in Kenya. So it's going to be interesting to just speak to Yvette again after such a long time as well.
Thanks, doctor.
Thanks, Omar. Thanks, Calvin. Thanks, viewers.
Thanks,
Enjoy the
everyone.
evening.
Have a lovely evening. Thanks to the
Thank you so
viewers
much.
as well. Thanks,
Right,
thanks,
see you
Dr. Eso.
guys.
Thanks, Dr. Bowa. Cheers, guys.
Right,
Fantastic.
bye.
Thank you so much.